Joined by, you know who he is, Kings assistant coach Doug Christie. DC, thanks for joining us as always, my man. We appreciate you. What's the fourth quarter of last night's game tell us about Trey Lyles on and off the floor?
On the floor, it says that he can do so many different things. I mean, his ability to shoot the three and stretch the floor is big time for us. He's been great on the offensive glass last night. On the defensive glass, spectacular, coming up with just huge plays. And off the floor, probably that we need him to play like that on the floor. Actually, I believe that's probably what it says. I just think his versatility, his size, his ability to guard multiple positions, physicality plays extremely hard. But when he's knocking down that shot, it turns us into a different type of animal.
We talked earlier in the show about in the fourth quarter and Darren Fox's performance, and throughout this season, he's led this team in the fourth quarter by going and getting buckets by any means necessary. Last night, we saw more of a point guard game, a classic point guard game in Darren Fox. Does that put thoughts in future opponents' heads and doubt in future opponents' heads of what this guy is going to do? Is he going to look for the bucket, or is he going to look for a teammate in an open shot?
Well, I just think that it speaks to his ability to do so many different things that it can do that. I just think more than anything, his ability to be able to get a bucket whenever he wants to, get to the line, knock down free throws, and as you said last night, the ability to play make in those moments. Now, it can definitely strike fear in the hearts of opponents. For us, just like kicking the ball out and Trey knocking down shots, when that's happening, Darren is not a selfish player in any stretch of the imagination. So he didn't need to go get buckets at the same high rate that he normally closes the game because other guys were making shots. So he said, listen, I'm going to let you guys make shots and let's just get the W first and foremost.
DC with us here on Cattles Ramie, Sactown Sports. Coach, you started your career coming off the bench. How important is it to find a consistent rotation? And do you think you're close to doing that with this team?
I think it's one of the most important things, to be honest with you guys. I've talked about as I traveled through the league as a young player, not until I got to Sacramento and kind of watched Coach Adelman, and I can remember just talking to those guys and hearing them saying, one of the most important things is the ability to pencil in and know that out of these guys, this is what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis. And when you're able to do that, now you can start playing the game at a different level. You know that you're going to get 15 to 20 points from myself. You're going to get this from Bobby Jackson. You know that you're going to get that from Webb, from Vlade, from Page. Like when you start to do that, it takes the game to another level for this particular team. I don't know that we're there yet, but I think that Coach is starting to have the understanding that this is what I'm going to get from certain players. It just elevates the level, and it takes your team to a different confidence, not only playing, but just confidence overall.
Is that settling of the rotation and guys being cemented in those roles, is that more of a product of waiting for somebody to emerge into those roles, or is it Coach Brown and the rest of the staff sort of trying to figure out what works and experimenting with different combinations and whatnot?
Well, I think that one thing that we know about the NBA is in a season, things are cyclical. You're going to get guys that play. You're going to get injuries. You're going to get guys that are dinged up. Kevin Huerter was out. Now, all of a sudden, someone else has to step up. Mezzi was in the lineup, and he was out of the lineup. Now he's back in the lineup. Like, those things happen because of the nature of the game. But you have to have a core 4 to 6 guys that you know that they're going to play, and then you're going to have 4 to maybe 5 sometimes that, whether injuries or whatever. So that part, I think, is still a work in progress, is understanding exactly, because you got to think you got an offense, and that offense is prolific. Guys are knocking down shots. Well, sometimes guys aren't knocking down shots, but that's when the defensive side of the ball has to come in play. And can we still win games when we're not shooting the ball at a really high clip? So the defining of that, I think, is still a work in progress.
Coach DC with us. He's on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Kind of a follow-up to that, Coach. Do you guys need more offense from Davion?
No, I just think that some nights it says he's going to score more. When he plays more, he scores more. That's just kind of the nature of it. It just, no, I would say no, but I would say he needs to stay aggressive and be a threat, because I think he has so much to give the game. Like defensively, he's an animal, but offensively, I think he's still learning how to play the point guard position, trying to do exactly what coach wants. And in many ways, he just has to go. Guys can't stay in front of him. When the lane closes down, spray the ball out, allow guys to knock down threes. I think the coach would be extremely happy with that. So offensively, he just go in there and be aggressive. Some nights the ball's going to go in the basket. Some nights it's not. If we're in the penalty, guys can't stick you, go by them. Make sure that when they hit you, you accentuate, get to the free throw line, knock down your shots.
As the season progresses and you guys are doing what you're doing and getting Kings fans excited, fans, we here on the station, I'm sure people elsewhere, we talk about, okay, what moves can be made now to bolster this roster. Is that something that's ever even on the minds of coaches, players, or is it your mind is on the job that's at hand and getting the W today or tomorrow?
I think that's more front office, because you never know. I always say play the hand that you got. So let's, with what we have, be as good as we can possibly be. And I don't personally think that we've ran into a team that we can't beat yet. And that's going with Boston, Milwaukee, all the big boys, Brooklyn. You go through all of them. Have we lost? Yeah, we've lost. But I don't think that there's a team that we ran into that we said to ourselves, we can't beat that team. And that's presently constructed. Now, the front office, you've always got to think ahead and all those different things. That's the nature of the business that we're in.
DC with us here on Cattles and Ramie. DC, last two games, you guys have actually won the points in the paint battle. What's been different?
I think focus. For me, you guys, it's communication. I think that's the last piece of the puzzle defensively, and to the level, because there's different levels of communication. There's talking, there's communicating, and then there's having a conversation.
Yep.
And I think that we started with talking, and that's not quite good enough. I think the last couple of games, I think we've been communicating at a higher level. And when you do that, I can't see you when I'm playing on the perimeter and you're behind me, but I got to know that you're talking. I got to trust that you're there. And I think the last two games, we've done that at a higher level. Now, that's been against Orlando and Houston. We got to do that against the creme de la creme, but this is where it starts. These are NBA teams. Listen, Houston, if you don't come and you don't play at a high level, they will beat you. So looking at the last two games, I would say that that's the biggest piece, and the piece that's missing for me is a high level of communication on the defensive end of the floor.
You know, when you started talking about that, DC, you reminded me of a video I saw a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, and Tomas mic'd up during a game, and I never picked it up just watching a game on TV, but he seems very vocal. Does he sort of lead the way for that communication, not just down in the paint, but on the floor as well, and as the offense moves up and down?
You know, it's an interesting question. I'll take it from the defensive perspective, because if you to our listeners, if you think about the game, coach many times, and you've heard me when I was on radio and TV, is say Darren Fox or Davion Mitchell is the head of the snake. Mm-hmm. They are the head of the defense. Now, flip that, and at the other end of the floor, and you don't see him, is Tomas. And for us, it was Vlade and Webb. For this team, it's Tomas, and it's his ability to communicate, because he's the back line of the defense. He's starting in the paint. Those guys are on the perimeter. The ball's coming up 94 feet, and he has to verbally say the things that he sees in front of him, because these guys are so good that if De'Aaron glances because he's trying to check to see if he's getting a screen. The guy's by him. It's a straight line drive, and he's to the basket. So he has to trust what he hears. Am I sending him strong? Am I sending him weak? Am I going over the screen, under the screen? Are you letting me through? Are we icing it? Like, there's a lot of communication that has to happen. So for Domas, he's a quarterback on the defensive side of the floor. And then when he gets the ball on the offensive side of the floor, it's very similar. There's more looks and glances on the offensive side of the floor because that's just the nature of offense. But defense has to be a high level of verbal communication.
Last one for you, Coach. We had a texter yesterday. They texted in that they don't like the live or die by the three approach. Could you explain to listeners who might feel that way why the game has evolved offensively and why you guys are just fine with shooting 48 threes last night?
You know, I think that right now you're going to knock down threes, and if you do, you're going to win the ball game. Where we have to improve is on the defensive end of the floor, and when we do that, nights where we don't make shots, meaning three-point shots, then we give ourselves the opportunity to win. I think that you have to understand, because if you do watch playoff basketball, you know that the mid-range game is still alive, but it comes more alive when the playoffs start. So that'll be something. And we have a guy in Darren Fox who is spectacular. Davion Mitchell can make them. Malik Monk can make them. Like, in many ways, that we're built for that. But we got to get there first and foremost before anything. But I think that this game that we watched today, analytics has dictated that 3 is worth more than 2. And in many ways, a lot of teams have taken mid-range out of it. It is not dead. It is, I think, in my opinion, a little more dead in the regular season than it is in the playoffs. But most teams today, you guys are built that you shoot the 3, and if you knock down those shots on those given nights, you're going to win the ball game. DC, you're the best, man. Let's do it again soon. I look forward to it. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Go Kings.
All right, there you go. There goes Doug Christie. All guests come to you from the Folsom Lake